Welcome back to the Barn to Workshop projects with John Decker. Today I'm going to be making a hanger for my corded Metabo Sander. So the question I have though is, how do I hang this thing on the wall in a reasonable manner? It's got a cord. It's one of the very few corded tools I have remaining now. And it's got kind of an odd shape to it. We've got, it could sit on the wall flat, I suppose, so that it's, if you could imagine like a shelf underneath that bottom flat portion there, and it sits on the shelf. But then I've got to figure out a solution for the cord as well. I had it in a cabinet before, so I could try to figure out a way to hang it. I don't want to remove the dust catch bag because I will lose it if I remove it. There is a possibility that I just, do the cord over the dust catch, which is how I've seen other people do it. But either way, I still need to figure out a way to mount this to the wall. And reasonably, I think that laterally, in other words, like sitting it on a shelf, is actually not the best solution. I don't use it every day, but it is something that gets used regularly now. And I think the best solution is going to be hanging it. So that means this effectively becomes the top, and we're hanging it like this, I guess. Or if you could imagine that this was the, up of the wall. And now that the cord would go the other direction. So I think what I'm going to want to do is this is my most complex one, or at least I think it is. I think what I'm going to want to do is create a hanger that can catch the base of this rather than trying to hang it from the top, that it kind of scoops up underneath, and in doing so has under that scoop point a little hook or something like it. So think of it now, I'm just going to put this sideways because it's easier with a shot. So if the wall was going that way, for example, and that's the up, that's the down, or that's the down over here, then the hook on the wall catches the bottom, the base of the plate, and then this just hangs on a spindle underneath that, which means I've got to have a way to set this in, and then it flops down and you could just kind of hook this on underneath. So here's what we're doing. This is the side we're going to roll in on. I have a piece that I can use for the cleat, so that's done and ready to rock. I know it looks small, but that's okay. It's just a hanger piece. As the backer board, I've got this piece of off from the zip system. This plywood is pretty heavy duty, or pretty hardy anyways, and it is effectively the same width as the sander, and plenty of length there, so we can work with that. And then we're going to make sure that it goes up to about the height of the sander, I think. So it's starting point there. We'll stick the cleat on this side like that. You can see that on camera there. So backside out. And that piece of block that comes out, I'll put a tie piece between the two that's a little bit lower, and that'll have a hook on it, and the hook will be where the cord hangs off the bottom. That's my plan, and we're going to go ahead and go with that plan. So what I have to do now is find what this contour is and make a block shape here. So it'll be square on the end, or maybe just a rounded end, but I think square on the end, and then rounded here. Make two of those because the shape on the other side matches. That contour is exactly the same. So that is what we need to do. Is this corner square? Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. And no, well, barely, maybe. It's close, very close. I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably the factory edge. The other side looks square. Again, it is so close, I'm going to go ahead and say yes. But see if this one is, because visually it looks not square. Here we go. It is not square. Okay, so this end down here is the one we're going to be working off of then, at least to begin with. This is not level on the other side, but close enough. So if this were to be right there, or better yet, if this were to be right there, so you can see that it lines up here, which probably is this. And then you can kind of see that it lines up on the back side, although from your perspective, it probably doesn't look like it just because the angle of the camera. What we're going to do is make a piece that cuts into this section and extends below the handle at the bottom, question mark, at least below this switch, but I need to have some meat, so probably below the handle as well. Let's go right there with it. Line it up. Actually not too close there. Line it up like that. Okay. And let's see if I can get this traced out. Okay. All right. So in theory, we're cutting off this here. Doesn't matter if it's super rounded off or straight or whatever. We're cutting this here, and then we're cutting down or coming down And I think for shape, form, whatever you want to call it, we go that direction with it. This is out, this is in, right? Yeah. So need to cut this shape out, and probably going to use, I don't have a band saw. I'd like to get one, but I don't currently have one. So I'm gonna have to use the scroll saw again. Not great on 2x4s, 2x material, but better than nothing. Question is, does this contour and this match? And my hope is yes. Okay, so we're off at the top here by about a 1/4 inch, it looks like. Hang on. And that's simple enough. That's a hard cut. So let me cut that off on the miter saw. I'll be right back. Did okay. That scroll saw actually is pretty good. It's a little bit of roughness here. I'm going to want to sand off with the belt sander. Slides in like that. This piece goes in like that. Nice and tight. Clean in there. These 2 shims go in alongside it. I need to kick that one out just a bit and make it flush to the bottom here. Okay. Okay. Just kicking around there a little bit. Made me nervous. All right. See if I made it too tight. Might have made it too tight. Dang it. It's too tight. Just a little bit too tight. Okay. So basically, I need to carve out this section right there just a little bit to make the room for that. What can I use to do that? I think what I'm doing here on the table saw is called a Dutch cut. I don't actually know, but either way, you're using the edge of the saw blade to carve the wood side to side up to your original cut line. It's not a great idea, but it does work. I'm a little gun shy of using the saw that way, but I did it anyways. So what did we end up with? Did I cause more problems than I solved? I don't know yet. Let's find out. So, okay, so that fits. The problem is that by cutting out that material, that this thing, which does its job properly here at the top, is now, there's a bit of a material size missing, probably about 3/4 inch maybe. A piece of 1/2 inch material will probably be what I need to get in there. So I'm going to try to see if I have something like that. This is the right thickness. Funny how that worked out. If I like this and it sticks around, I'll unscrew it in the future and glue it all together. But for now, this is just going to be screwed together. That's not good. My thing's getting a little worn down. There's a little bit of wiggle, but not that much. Should be good. Should be okay. Should keep it from splitting out. Okay, all right. It's not pretty, but it's nice and solid. I don't have anything other than these brass wood screws to use here, so hopefully that'll be enough. And again, like I said, if this works out, I'll come back and glue these things up. Here we go. Let's see how it fits on the wall. But here's our thingy-jig. I thought before I put it on the wall, I gotta remember I gotta put this hook on. So there we go. See, this slots in, and this can still fit on with it being on the hook there, just like that. That slots in. Now I gotta have a hook on the bottom here that's big enough to handle the 3, maybe 4 wraps of cord that I'm gonna have on it. And that just show. So that's gonna be like here. We'll thread this in, I guess, the depth of threads. Yeah, we'll thread this in at the bottom, just like that. And that way it can hook, but it can also be somewhere in the shaft, just, you know, to give it more bite, more depth. I'm a little worried that I'm gonna split that out. It's such a small piece. As soon as I bury those threads, I think we're good. 2020 hindsight, I'm probably going to see some better way to do this, and there might be somebody in the comments who has one too. I am entirely open to hearing it, but for now, I think that'll do the trick, and it'll just hang there, and that'll be fine. Yeah. Not too bad. Hey, look at that. That's a good length too. I don't have to put a block on the back. I think that'll do the trick. Well, it's getting a little bit late in the day and I've got to go inside and feed the cats. So I'm going to wrap it up with just doing a sander mount. Got a little bit complicated there at the end, but I appreciate you following along. If this sort of thing gives you inspiration for something in your own shop, more power to you. And this has been a working project. I'm trying to figure out everything as I go along. Hopefully by the end of this, I'll have a nice organizational component for everything that I usually go to or reach to. It's really interesting to me personally to get them out of the cabinets and into these independent holders. It's not something I ever really thought I'd get into, but the more I see them on the wall, the more they become accessible in a way they weren't before. And it makes me feel like I don't have to dig through everything to figure out where stuff got put, which is kind of the point, I guess. It does mean it's going to collect some dust in the meantime. So, you know, I guess I'll use the leaf blower to blow it off when the time comes for that. Anyhow, thank you so much for following along on this. I appreciate the subscription. If you get a chance to, go ahead and subscribe and like if you liked the video. I'd love to hear some comments. If you got things that you've done similar to this that you want to, chat about in the comments, I will definitely open up to that. And just any encouragement you have, because this does feel like it's taking a very long time to do. Thanks so much. My name is John Decker. Cheers. I'll see you next time.